All right, well, now with bearing all this in mind, we turn to the topic of self-custody, something critical in the moment as we see the FTX saga continue to play out, concerns and sort of FUD, I would say, being spread around the Binance ecosystem. And it's a real question for crypto investors and users whether they will take on the responsibilities of self-custody and what that truly means. So joining us now, we have Ian Lowe of Dacxi to help break it down. Ian, firstly, thanks so much for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Asher.
All right, so Ian, break down a little bit about where this issue stands right now. When it comes to the matter of self-custody, is this something that every crypto user and investor should be doing, or is it realistically outside the scope of some less sophisticated users?
Well, look, I think that the first thing that anyone that holds or plans to hold crypto needs to really understand is the broader concept of custody. And so whether self-custody is the right solution for them, I'll come to in a moment. But look, the whole FTX saga has highlighted something that certainly we've been talking about for a while, which is that in the crypto world, which is only in this market partially regulated, as we know, there's always been, and not just in Australia, but more generally, there's always been significant misunderstood counterparty risk as it relates to holding crypto. So in other words, a significant number of the platforms around the world on which you can buy crypto will hold that crypto for you. But of course, you don't necessarily have any transparency as to what is being done with that crypto. Is it being locked away in a safe place from the same people from which you purchased it, or another service provider, and it sits there until you decide to do something with it? Or is that crypto actually being used as collateral by the exchange or some other party in their own value chain to generate income of some kind for them? Sometimes it's packaged up as generating income for the individual investor or crypto, the holder of the underlying crypto, and they earn interest, etc. But essentially, it's all being used as collateral in those scenarios to generate an income. And that income might be shared by the exchange back with the individual. The issue is that the actual ownership of that underlying crypto, those underlying crypto assets, needs to be completely transparent. So this has all come to light off the back of the FTX disaster, and of course, in that particular case, it wasn't a business that necessarily didn't provide transparency on custody. That was one very big problem. It would appear, and the facts are still coming to light, that the much bigger problem was that there was a couple of people that had total control and access of all of those assets and did whatever they liked with them. So that's a connected but much, very different, much bigger problem. The idea of custody is exactly the same as it is in the non-crypto world, which is that when we go onto a platform and we buy shares, where do those shares actually sit? Where are they recorded? Where is the ownership? Who has control of those? What are the rules around that control? What's the level of protection back to the consumer? And so this is the space that all good exchange platforms around the world are now navigating to quickly, because they understand that this concept of transparent custody is critically important to the future of the industry. It's critically important to regain lost ground around confidence for individual investors. And so that's what is now the gold standard is quickly going to become the minimum standard. And of course, on top of that, we're going to have regulations that will enforce those minimum standards as we should have had a long time before now. There's an additional nuance, though, when it comes to custody that's really important, Asher. We've seen a number of platforms come out and talk about we hold one-to-one value of assets. And so the theory is that using simple numbers, if my customers have purchased $100 worth of crypto on my platform, then I can demonstrate that I have $100 worth of value to match the $100 worth of crypto that I hold on behalf of those customers. And there's a significant problem with that, which is that the mix of assets that are held shouldn't be aggregated to say, well, we have $100 worth of corresponding value. We need to be able to demonstrate that the mix of different assets that has been purchased and is held by customers through that exchange is absolutely identical to the mix of assets that's being held in custody. And the reason for that is that we have price movement, of course, on any individual crypto asset at any time. So the actual underlying value that's being held as collateral against those assets, it's constantly moving up and down against the value target. And so it needs to be a precise match of the assets that have been purchased by those clients. Right. Our view is we don't take on debt, we don't create financial instruments, we simply allow a client to hold the assets that they want to hold, and we've got a one-to-one match to those by asset, not just by aggregate value. Right. So all of this nuance will come to light and become, I believe, critically important to reinstating the confidence that we want to see particularly in the retail end of the market, but just more generally.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think a key part of what you're saying there is reducing that sort of opaque nature, getting people a little more clear and transparent on what these assets that are being held on their behalf and in their name are. But I suppose, Ian, one issue that comes to mind, I'm thinking, of our viewership here that would be interested or holding crypto right now. Maybe they've been holding it on an exchange and they're being told right now, the messaging, get your crypto off exchanges, get it into self-custody, get it into cold storage wallets. But as you said, I mean, it's maybe traditional, comparative to the traditional financial space in that sense. But there's a reason people don't want to hold hundreds of thousands of dollars, under the mattress. It's not a comfortable position for many to be in. It doesn't feel safe, and the crypto industry, even in a short lifespan, is dogged with stories of people losing private keys, losing, physical elements of drives and whatnot, and losing access to their crypto assets. How would people address that concern while simultaneously staying safe and secure?
Well, look, what we're seeing on our platform is it's interestingly actually a very small percentage of clients who are saying, I want to hold the assets in my own environment, whatever that might be. And as you point out, that comes with its own risk. Around, if it's sitting on a hard drive, for example, the safety and security around that hard drive, passwords and how they're stored. So there are discrete risks associated with taking private ownership of your crypto assets. One of the benefits of holding crypto assets through a third-party platform that is independent, third-party, fully transparent, etc., and assuming all those boxes can be ticked, is that a number of those third-party platforms also provide insurance around the cold storage of those assets. So first of all, those assets are almost exclusively disconnected from the internet. There's a level of safety there. The control around those or access to those assets is governed by very sophisticated multi-individual access. So no one person ever has access or control. And all of those hierarchies are embedded into those technologies. And also a lot of them come with insurance. So provided an individual can get comfortable that the assets are being held not just one-to-one in value, but at the detailed level of the asset itself, and that it's independent, and that there's a level of insurance, we still believe that that's a much better solution, particularly for the retail investor.
I suppose I would understand the trepidation, though. When you look to stories of the past, I'm thinking of, for example, of the Quadriga CX story where the CEO died with the only access to the password, the cold wallet password, making $250 million worth of assets at that point, effectively inaccessible. Now, obviously, the industry's maturing, the industry's developing. You've got multi-key, multi-signature tools that would allow multiple people to hold on to varied keys and still access funds should something happen to one individual. And obviously those standards should grow, but obviously it's still not to the same standard as traditional finance when it comes to an institution. And at this stage, before governments have truly put in the sort of regulation that ensures that these standards are in play, it's often up to individuals to do extensive research and try and decide whether or not the institution they're speaking with is really taking all the right steps, often beyond where the average investor might be able to truly understand. I mean, is this not still a concern, and is this not something that can be truly mitigated at this stage?
Well, look, I think the onus lies with the industry itself. If we want to to restore and maintain the good faith and the trust of investors that want to hold crypto asset, then the industry itself has to put a best foot forward. And look, Asher, we're starting to see this. You know, a lot of platforms are now on the front foot. We've got industry associations, including Blockchain Australia, that have made statements on behalf of members that have come out and been named in terms of the standards that they uphold, the guarantees that they provide. So increasingly, platforms are on the record about this. That's going to happen more. That's actually really important. But it's really up to the industry and the participants within the industry. I'm not talking about the investors, but the exchanges, for example, to come out and provide detailed disclosures about exactly how they are managing custody, because this is at the very heart of the future of the industry in terms of, particularly retail participation. And we know we'll get there through regulation, and we don't know exactly how long that's going to take. But the industry is already showing signs of getting out in front of this and being much more transparent about exactly how they manage custody on behalf of their client.
Certainly an absolutely critical message and a critical story, for the crypto space, as you say, having to rebuild trust, reputation, fidelity, when it comes to the wider consumer base. Unfortunately, Ian Lowe from Dacxi, that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thanks, Asher. Good to talk to you.